We spent a lot of time the first 2 days this week discussing the Eagles' offense and Jalen Hurts. Well, actually, just Jalen Hurts. We really didn't talk a lot about Saquon Barkley, but we talked a lot about Jalen Hurts this week. I want to spend some time today talking about the Eagles' defense, the linebackers, the cornerbacks, the defensive line. Not sure enough has been discussed about the defense. Martin Frank, Delaware News Journal, will be joining us at 8:30 to talk about his experience covering this game in Brazil. We're going to look at my week 2 power rankings and so much more. Trending in the AM, we are live, taking all your thoughts and opinions in 60 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. We are live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, you know the drill. Wherever you are watching, whichever platform you are watching on, please, please, please smash that like button, smash that subscribe or follow button, smash that share or retweet button. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. It's free to do. It does not cost you a thing to support this great channel, Edge of Philly Sports. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, as always. You can find me on social media platforms at Beard and Knowledge. And we're going to have another jam-packed fun show today at 8:30. So in about 30 minutes, Martin Frank, Delaware News Journal, will be joining us to talk about his trip to Brazil to cover the Philadelphia Eagles, plus his thoughts on the game and the future of the Eagles after week 1. So we got that to look forward to in a little bit. We're going to release my week 2 power rankings live on this show. How they changed since week 1. We spent a lot of time this week talking Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts most specifically. I want to take a deeper look at the defense to start the show off. We're going to talk about Nick Sirianni's press conference a little bit more from Monday and also just general opinions of Nick Sirianni. So we got lots to talk about. And if anybody wants to talk Phillies, I know there's a bench clearing scuffle last night after Nick Castellanos got hit by another pitch last night. So that is on the agenda as well. I'm a little off today. I won't lie. There's work being done on the pipes in our town of Coatesville. My water was supposed to be turned back on at 5 a.m. At 7 a.m., when I tried to get in the shower, I still had no water. So I literally got out of the shower about 20 minutes ago. My beard is still soaking wet. I'm a schedule guy, and my schedule has been thrown off this morning. So if I'm off kilter this morning, you know why. It's because the water company was a little delayed in getting my water on. But right to the comments of the day, right off the bat, good morning, Duck. Hope you are well this morning. Anthony, my main man, it is a great morning. Every morning that we see the sunrise is a great morning. Ryan Reese is around. What's up, my man? Good to see you this morning in the comments. Hope you're as confident about the Eagles as I am. Good morning, Little G. Hope you are well. So we got lots to dive into with the Philadelphia Eagles. And like I said, I want to talk a little bit about the defense this morning to kick off the show. A lot is being made about Jalen Hurts and the offense. A lot has been spoken about Jalen Hurts and the offense from week 1. And there are 3 different points of conversation that aren't being spoken enough about on the defensive side of the ball. Well, maybe 4, actually. I could think of 4 spots. All right, I want to talk about the cornerbacks a little bit more. What we're going to do with Quinyon Mitchell, with Isaiah Rodgers, with Avonte Maddox, with Darius Slay. I am setting off a firestorm on Twitter because I said you've got to leave Quinyon Mitchell outside because he's already the best cornerback on the team. And I know it's a little overreaction. It's not Monday. And Darius Slay still played very, very well and is still a great cornerback. But don't you want to put your best players in the best positions possible? And isn't Quinyon Mitchell 100 times better than any other option opposite of Darius Slay? And I know that it leaves open a hole at slot corner. I know that. But do you really want to make a hole on the outside? I don't know. I know everyone says put Rodgers on the outside, move Quinyon Mitchell to the slot. And that's fine. And that's probably what will happen. But Quinyon Mitchell is something special. He really is. So I want to talk about that a bit today. I want to talk about our linebackers bit today. I don't think we've mentioned Zach Bond's name but 3 times this week. And he was only the 6th linebacker since 2007 to have a stat line of 15 tackles and 2 sacks in a football game. For a guy that's never played interior linebacker. Yeah, I know Nakobe Dean had a good game, minus the pick 6 drop. I don't know if enough credit is going Zach Bond's way. I mean, he's getting credit, but I don't know if it's enough. And I'm curious whether it can be sustained. Now, the thing is, when a linebacker has 15 tackles in a game, my third point of conversation gets brought up, and that means the defensive line isn't stopping the running back enough at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. Josh Jacobs had 84 yards rushing, 5.3 per carry. The offense of the Packers had 163 yards, 7.8 per carry as a whole. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Moro Ojomo played a majority of the snaps. The distribution of those snaps concerns me. And the run defense as a whole concerns me. And Nick Sirianni, when he spoke on Monday, did talk about still having to clean up some of the tackling issues that might have slightly carried over, point 4, tackling, from 2023. So they're the 4 main things that I'm thinking about on the defensive side of the football. And what do we do with them and about them? What is up, Mitchie Poo? How you doing this morning? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, barring another meltdown, we should get to the playoffs and go deep, roll deep right to the Super Bowl. Look, this team is really good. And it's only 1 week. And I feel like the team is only going to get better, Duck. But barring a meltdown, we saw the meltdown happen last year. So that's the problem, that we've seen it. So we need to continue to see this growth and consistency from this team offensively and defensively. Offensively, there is the talent. Defense is still where the question marks, in my mind, lie. Now, I know Vic Fangio is instilling more discipline, but there were some missed tackles on the defensive line from the secondary. I don't know if it was the Jalen Reed big touchdown run on that sweep play. I think there was 2 or 3 missed tackles there. Bad angles to try to tackle him. So there are still concerns on the defensive side, in my opinion. 2 quarterbacks in week 1 had 270 yards and 2 touchdowns, Jalen and Baker Mayfield. The overreactions about how Hurts did was insane. I agree. I'm trying to stay away from the Hurts conversation today, but the Hurts conversation will always be part of every trending in the AM because Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of our football team. So Jalen Hurts will always be there in the conversation. Slay played like a contract. It's like it's contract. Well, yeah, look. When I talk so glowingly about Quinyon Mitchell, I try to make sure I reiterate this is not a knock on Darius Slay. Darius Slay had an excellent game on Friday night. Darius Slay is still a very, very upper echelon cornerback in the NFL. Hell, if you start Slay and Quinyon Mitchell, we might have the best tandem cornerbacks in the NFL. Maybe. So this is not a knock on Darius Slay. It's the hype that I've been feeling about Quinyon Mitchell since the second he was drafted. And I can't believe 20-plus slots went and teams passed over Quinyon Mitchell 20-plus times in the NFL draft. Excuse me. It's crazy. Everybody always talks about the redraft. You redraft the NFL 3 years later. I'm telling you, Quinyon Mitchell is going to be a top 5 pick when we redraft the 2024 draft in 2027, 2028. That's how hyped I've been since day one about him. And I might have mentioned it slightly yesterday. Something about Quinyon Mitchell going up in training camp against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in one-on-one battles every single day. A lot of rotations happen in one-on-one battles. Oh, we saw Ben Van Sumeren line up as a tight end in one of the one-on-one drills in training camp. So they rotate this stuff. But every single day, they made sure Quinyon Mitchell was going up against A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. On a coaching aspect, that's so smart because it got Devontae Smith ready to face the elite wide receiver from every single team we face going forward. They have been preparing him since the second he walked into the NovaCare complex to be an elite cornerback, like his skill set says it is. So again, it's not a knock on Darius Slay when I hype up Quinyon Mitchell. Because I think Darius Slay was only targeted like 2 or 3 times the entire game. That's how locked down Darius Slay was. But they made a decision to target Quinyon because he's the rookie, and he came up big. He made the plays when necessary. So that's where the Quinyon Mitchell hype comes from on my end. It's not a knock on Darius Slay. And Darius Slay doesn't have a lot more time left in his career. It might be his last year in Philadelphia. Probably with the way our team is situated, probably is. But Darius Slay still got time to make one more contract and make a couple more bucks, especially as the cornerback values, Patrick Surtain, keep getting increased. So, yeah, he's going to play his ass off to get that next contract. I noticed Eagles corners still playing off of receivers. Hate it. Well, look, here's the thing, Jack. Playing off the receivers, that's a – remember the style that we hated last year, Jack, ran by Sean Desai, was basically a variation of Vic Fangio. That is Vic Fangio's system. You pressure with 4 guys, you dial up an occasional blitz, and you hope your cornerbacks can do their job. Your linebackers can do their job. Their safeties can do their job. That is just the way Vic Fangio runs his offense or defense. And we saw variation last year, and I hate it too. Everyone wants more blitzing from their defense. I don't really care about the blitzing. If you got a good front 4 or 5, you'll get after the quarterback no matter what. I want my cornerbacks playing up on the line of scrimmage. I agree. That's just not, and I warned everybody when Vic Fangio was hired that he's going to do things that you don't like. The one thing he is going to do that we are going to all love is instill discipline in his players. And we saw that for a majority of Friday night. Not enough of Friday night, in my opinion, though. Because there were definitely moments when there wasn't that discipline on the tackling and the getting after the ball handlers and whatnot. So it's something to keep an eye on. It is. Slay will get another bag from another team for next season. He deserves every dollar. Darius Slay is A, so underappreciated by Philadelphia. B, probably one of the 3 or 4 greatest trades in Eagles history. Howie Roseman getting Darius Slay in his prime for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. And that's it. I think I got that right. 3rd and 5th round pick, right? It's shocking. It's insane. It's crazy that is what happened. And that's how that played out. So you love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. They are playing closer to the line than they have in years. And they are playing, man, how Maddox got burned. I think Maddox got burned for 2 reasons. Well, 3. Because they were playing man, obviously, like you said. But A, I think he is slightly washed a little bit. The injuries are catching up to Avonte Maddox. He's lost a step. And next, he spent the entirety of training camp preparing to be a safety on this team. And because of the Isaiah Rodgers injury last second, getting ruled out, he had to move into the slot. If anything, I think that was a misstep on the game plan of doing that. And they should have pulled him out of that position. He played what? I got it in my notes here. Avonte Maddox, here he is. 90% of the snaps he played. So we were running 3 cornerbacks 90% of the time. It never dawned on the Eagles, Vic Fangio, to make a pivot, maybe put Keely Ringo out there or somebody else in the slot or Keely Ringo on the outside and move Quinyon Mitchell, who was prepped to play the slot, in the slot. Like that, my biggest concern on Maddox was the lack of a pivot there. You could see it right away, but they should have made that change at the very least at halftime. I saw a decent amount of blitzing. Yeah, there was some blitzing. I don't know what the percentage was, Nooms. I bet you it wasn't as high as you think. because they were getting some form of pressure on Jordan Love at times. They just weren't getting home. I am more concerned with our defensive front line than pretty much any position on this Eagles team right now. The defensive tackles, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Moro Ojomo. That is where my concerns are with the team. And I guess you can throw the rest of the defensive line in there, Nolan Smith, Bryce Huff, Brandon Graham, et cetera, et cetera. You can put all of them into the same equation. Not enough pressure. You didn't get home. And just the distribution of snaps and how they wore down. Like Jalen Carter playing 76% of the snaps on Friday night still concerns me when Moro Ojomo only played 21% of the snaps. It's 51-14. And look, Jalen Carter's a beast. But you could tell playing him that heavy workload, by the end of the game, he was worn down a little bit. And I don't know if the answer is balancing out between those four more, maybe using Thomas Booker a little bit more, maybe sliding around some guys from the outside inside more. I don't know what the answer is, or bringing somebody else in to this team. I mean, we've already seen Howie Roseman change the practice squad 16 times in the last 6 minutes. Something else has to give with the defensive line because, look, again, Josh Jacobs had a really solid day running against us. The Packers did as a whole. The Falcons, Bijan Robinson, very good running back. They had a large amount of rushing yards against a very good Steelers defense. No, the Steelers had the rushing yards. They had 89 rushing yards as a team, 68 of them from Bijan Robinson against the Steelers. Then you got Saints with Alvin Kamara the week after that. Then you got the Browns with Ford the week after that, or the Bucs with Rashad White the week after that. So we're going up against teams that like to run the football every single week to start the season. So we need to see something more from the defensive line. And that, when I see Zach Bond with 15 tackles, to me, I'm like, yeah, that's a great game from Zach Bond. But it also means the defensive line didn't make enough stops when that ball was being run at them. Just going to say. I thought that the corners were great. Q and Slade both challenged wide receivers. This wasn't like Gannon had. This wasn't a Jim Schwartz sticks defense. It wasn't a Jim Schwartz bend don't break defense. Look, I think the defense played well. The cornerbacks and linebackers great. The defensive line, okay. The safeties decent. But I don't think we even saw the peak of what this defense is capable of. Because again, you didn't have Isaiah Rodgers out there. You're still learning how to work with this team. There's a lot of new pieces. Plus, you had the slippery service on top of that, and it definitely made it challenging for defensive linemen to get off the line of scrimmage, just as much as it made a problem for the wide receivers planting and the quarterbacks planting. So there's a lot that goes into that. Blitzing is needed to keep the quarterback from feeling too comfortable. Look, in 2022, Jack, we weren't a high blitz team. It's not like we blitzed 60% of the time. We almost set the NFL record with, 70, 71 sacks. I think it was the 85 Bears has the record. So we have the second most sacks of all time in the season. It wasn't like we were blitzing 60% of the time. Our front 4-5, Hassan Reddick included, were getting home and getting that pressure on their own. And no, just to answer, I don't want Hassan Reddick back in midnight green. I don't. But you've got to pick the right moments. You've got to pick the right configuration, the right 4 or 5 guys out there at the same time. There's a lot that's got to go into it. And I don't know if it's more blitzing is the answer. It's just getting home. It's having great technique. It's about having healthy legs so that these guys can manhandle the guys in front of them on the offensive line. That's what you need. And I don't know if we have enough bodies that are talented enough to do that. That's just my opinion. Maddox should be traded before he is. Well, you can't trade somebody after he gives up 116 quarterback rating in week 1 when targeted. And he was on the field for 90% of the snaps. You can't do anything with him. Look, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because he was, prepped as a safety. But he tried to go out to other teams in free agency. The Eagles let him look for other places to go. Nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted Avonte Maddox. He came back here on a discount because nobody else wanted him. I think the league knows he's washed at this point. They tried to latch to another team when he was, yeah, exactly. Avonte Maddox was given opportunities to go elsewhere. Got our first political post. Yeah, did she say that? Are you trying to help win it? What's Oh, wait, until after Monday to be concerned. Wait until after Monday. Some precautions were taken when playing on that turf. Philly sports, agreed. I'm keeping an open mind till we get back onto a real football surface. Absolutely. Open mind, not just for the surface, the travel, the extra, everything that went into that Brazil trip. We saw what happened with our Phillies when they had to go to London and how they came back dead as a doorknob for a while. I watched Reggie White play all day. Get these guys, yeah. For sure. Players are built a little different now, Jack. I get that. It's the same thing when you have the conversation about load management in the NBA now versus guys played 82 games always throughout their career earlier in the 80s. If the defense can't get pressure or sacks come Monday, then I'm with you. We should all be concerned, but I'm not. I can't wait till Monday night either, Philly sports. Look, I'm not worried about – my biggest concern right now with the defense is the snap distribution along the defensive line and how that will change. Because for this team to be good, when this team is at its best, they've got a great rotation going. And I don't know if they have enough bodies to rotate that are talented enough. Just my opinion. Get these bums in shape. Well, I can't speak because I ain't in no shape right now. I'm a fat slob at this point. Blitzing and pitching inside go hand in hand. There you go. Get in your home. Don't you like your home? Get in your hole. Don't you like your hole? Then why do we want Maddox? Nobody said they want Maddox. Nobody said they wanted Avonte Maddox. I had predicted on this show multiple times that he could have been cut from the initial 53-man roster. People called me crazy, but based off of his contract, it wasn't going to be too hard to get off of his contract. I think he's making only like $3 million, which is pretty much a vet minimum at this point. In theory, I don't like it, but you're going to move Quinyon Mitchell over. They'll have, I think, their first practice is today. So we'll get our first practice report today. And if Isaiah Rodgers practices, then we'll see the light. We'll see the see it moving on, and we'll probably put him on the outside, Isaiah Rodgers, Quinyon Mitchell in the slot, which in theory, a lot of teams' best players do play in the slot anyway. I mean, CeeDee Lamb lines up in the slot how often? So, you'll have Quinyon Mitchell there. That should, in theory, improve the defense even more. Mitchie Poo, don't you dare ever change. Yeah, I saw something that he's got his ERA back under 4 for the first time since, 2004. I guess whatever personal problems he was having, he took a break and he's back and he's good to go. I don't think he's ever said what the personal problems were, Jose Alvarado, but it's good to see. Bench clearing brawlish. I say brawlish because no punches were swung at last night's Phillies game. And I'm just going to say this. And again, we talked about this yesterday. You can't criticize Bryce Harper. Go back and watch Nick Castellanos get hit in the back. And you see Bryce Harper want to charge the mound. But he charged the mound in a way that he wanted to be stopped before he got to the mound. And you could see him like, I'm going to run. Nobody's around to stop me. So I slow down and I just walk up to the mound. Bryce Harper, that was a fugazi. Like, nobody's going to talk about that except for me. I'm going to try. I wish I knew how to edit videos and stuff. And I do a slow motion edit of that video and speak as Bryce Harper's mind. He's fake tough, Bryce Harper. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to criticize Bryce Harper. I am. Maddox will be fine when they actually put him back there at safety. In theory, hopefully, we don't need him at safety. Hopefully, in theory, Reed Blanket, Chip, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson play the whole season. But if he's back there at safety, maybe he's in a better position there. What's up, Bruce Bryce Harper? Hope you are well. I feel it was awesome of Bryce to protect. I don't think he protected nobody. I think he wanted to be stopped so he didn't have to protect them. Go watch that film again. It looks like he wants to charge the mound. And he kind of slows down and lets somebody catch up to him to pull him back. I'm just saying. I bet that you and everyone will not be able to call me Mitchy Poo for a week. Why would I want to do that? Harper just knew the cams would be on him. Excuses. He didn't want to have to get into a throwing punches. He didn't want to have to get in anybody's face. Remember, Jonathan Papelbon got knocked his ass down many, many moons ago. So you saw that big out. Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one to see. Bryce Harper kind of slowed down, hoping somebody would stop him. He didn't really, truly want to get in a fight. He wanted to get into an argument and have somebody in between them. Fake tough guy. If you're going to charge, you charge. That's it. That's it. If you charge, you charge. No fake charge in the mound. This isn't Nolan Ryan on the mound for the Rays last night. That was going to take you down. I don't know if anybody remembers the Nolan Ryan. You got to be old. I know Jack would, maybe Al would, Duck, when he was like wailing on a dude's head. That wasn't Nolan Ryan out there, okay? Just saying. Phil, I do agree with you, though, that Bryce hesitated and was easily pushed away. Absolutely. Because Bryce doesn't want to have to been sat or laid out. He would have gotten laid out. I can't judge the Eagles season until week 4, especially this season. Yeah, it's very tough to grade a lot with the Eagles after week 1 because of the whole, we're not talking just the turf, the entire Brazilian experience. Same thing with the Packers. It's hard to judge them. It's going to be hard to judge the Packers until Jordan Love comes back. So it is a process with the Eagles this year. New coordinators, new players, new everything. Phil, once Nolan Ryan beat up Robin, yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Literally had him in a choke slam, in a guillotine choke and wailing on him. You never watched the Nolan Ryan documentary? It's pretty good. All that dude wanted to do was pitch. Did my screen just freeze up? I think my camera went, guys. Hold on. Settings. Web camera. I don't know how to change my web camera. Can you guys hear me still? Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Can you guys hear me at least? Somebody comment if you can hear me. Just give me a second. Give me a second. I could do some things here. I got to try to find a way to. You can hear me. That's good. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the video there. I'm going to do something real quick. We're going to do this for 1 second because I do not know
how to change my thing here. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Audio, camera, web camera. Why won't it let me do this? Me? It'll just be a second, guys. I'll have this fixed in no time. No time here. Enter studio. Oh, boy. Always something when you're doing a show here, guys. Always something. Why won't it let me change my camera setting? I don't know. Big Al, if you're watching, you're on a computer. Come change my camera settings for me. Yeah, it's not good right now. It's honestly, I'm on a different camera now. I'm not sure why it won't let me edit my camera setting. This is what happens when you do live TV. It is what it is. Why won't it disconnect and move to my other camera? There we go. Now we got it back to work in here the way I want it to work.
Put that guy back. All right, we're back. All right. Now, I got it, Al. I figured it out. I don't know what happened. The webcam froze up, busted up. All right. I don't know what happened. But now you get the close-up Phil. A little too close for Phil. A little too close for comfort there for Phil. But that's why we always have a backup screen. Who else always has a backup screen ready to go? Only this guy. Only this guy's got the backup screen at a moment's notice. Does it mean, or does everyone else think Jack Dwight profile picture looks like Reggie Jackson? I feel the Eagles can win 13 games this year if we play like we should. Absolutely. All right, so that was that. More like Michael Jackson's dad. Yeah, video crack Phil. All right. All right. So we're back. Let me just get through all these. Yeah, I look high on the camera. Well, that's something else for another day. All right. So we're firing through all these. Joining me now that I got everything set, our special guest of the day here joining us back from Brazil, Martin Frank, Delaware News Journal. Good morning, Frank. How you doing today?
Doing all right. How's it going, Phil?
Well, now that I got my camera fixed, I had a little camera issue there about a minute or two ago. We're good to go. My camera's in Brazil, I think. I think that's what's happening. It's still on vacation. I invited you on. You're probably tired of me asking you to come on because I've had you on a lot lately. But you are the guy that was down there in Brazil covering the Eagles. And I wanted to get your firsthand, not just thoughts on the Eagles, but the trip to Brazil and what it was like for the media. Because we've heard what the players and the fans have felt about it. But for the media, what was it like going down to Brazil there to cover the game?
Well, I mean, it was a great experience, to be honest with you. Everything was set up pretty well for the media. I was actually kind of surprised. The NFL obviously did its share of legwork and stuff like that to have everything ready. The only problem was the traffic there is brutal. Like, you guys have all experienced, obviously, the Schuylkill at rush hour. You can barely move probably for like 4 or 5 miles. Well, like multiply that by like 5, because Sao Paulo is like a humongous city. It's like 50% bigger than New York. So where like the media hotel was compared to the stadium was like a 20-mile, give or take 20-mile drive. The day of the game, I left like 5 hours before the game. It took me 3 hours to get there. It was just like crawling for 20 miles the entire trip. I could have walked probably faster. That was my only complaint. I mean, as far as like the Brazilian media on Thursday, the day before the game, they were, it was kind of like a press conference for them to ask questions, and they were into it. You could tell there were some people there who knew about the NFL, asked some pretty good questions. There were others who were totally clueless about it, and were asking kind of weird questions. But that's kind of that was fine. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. It was kind of entertaining, to be honest with you. The players liked it. I mean, Saquon, Barkley, especially, seemed to really enjoy being there, answering questions. He was really proud of the fact that he scored the first touchdown in South America and stuff like that. So I would say overall it was a good trip for the media. I mean, they had us sitting it was outdoors. They had us sitting in like the top corner of the stadium, but it wasn't that high up and everything like that. I mean, it wasn't bad at all. And I have absolutely no complaints about how the media was treated.
Well, and you heard a lot of the players complaining about the trip and having to take the trip. But it seems like once the trip got started, once they got there, the experience was, they realized the importance of the moment of going down there and playing that game.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Obviously, you got to take a 10-hour flight from Philly to Sao Paulo. It's a long flight. You're kind of wondering, what's the point? We're playing this big game against the Packers, in this place that's far away and everything like that. So and where the players were staying, they were staying closer to the stadium, which is also kind of near the airport. And, that's not like a really great area of Sao Paulo. So I think a lot of what they were told beforehand, like, be careful when you're carrying your cell phone because people will swipe them. that kind of like discouraged them from like going out, from leaving the hotel room. And I think that was part of it going in. Like, they heard all these horror stories about the safety and everything. But I can tell you, like, from where the media was staying, and especially like the area I stayed in, I stayed in a different hotel. It was a really nice area. It was kind of like they had a lot of bars and restaurants. It was very walkable. I didn't feel like in danger at all. And I think once the players got there, they kind of saw how like the Brazilians were really into it. The fans there, they made up like 90% of the fans in the stadium, and they were chanting. It was like, they were watching a Brazilian soccer team game. They were chanting, they were dancing. And I think it caught some of the players by surprise. There were also a lot of Eagles fans or a lot of Packers fans. It was a really neat atmosphere during the game. I think from what I've heard, like you can kind of get a sense of that watching it on TV, just
Mhm.
how loud it was in there. I mean, you couldn't tell that you were playing in South America as opposed to like the Link or Lambeau Field, just from the noise level. I mean, some of it came in our opportune times, but that was to be expected. I thought it was a great atmosphere.
Yeah, no, that watching it on TV, the first thing that I noticed about the game was when the national anthem was played, and they were very respectful to our national anthem. But then the passion, they had all the Olympians out on the field, and every single person in that stadium was singing along with the national
Yeah,
anthem. Just from that moment on, I knew this was going to be a special crowd that was going to be really, truly into the experience. Maybe not everybody there understands football, but everybody there was into the experience.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I never heard anything like that when they played the Brazilian national anthem. Like everybody stood up and sang it like loud. I mean, you never see that at a game here in the United
Yeah.
States. Like, you just kind of stand, you mumble the words, and then you're like, all right, time to sit down and get ready to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was,
I don't know. I was very impressed with that national pride that they took in
yeah,
that open. I don't think anybody has talked about it or covered it or really discussed that moment of that before the game there.
yeah. I'd never seen anything like that before. I mean, that was wonderful. I mean, you never see that anywhere here. I mean, it just
Yeah.
doesn't happen. Like, and then during the game, like they would sing, they would dance, they would chant. I don't even know what it was they were chanting, but like at one point, like Devonte Smith said, he kind of looked up and was like, "What's going on?" and everything. It was a good experience, definitely.
All right. Well, let's get to the game itself then. Obviously, there's plenty of highs, plenty of lows. They came away with the win. But the one thing that everyone's talking about is the field conditions and making excuses for this player or that player with the field conditions. Do you feel that the field conditions? I don't know. Did you get down on the field to actually like feel how the conditions were or not? And do you think they really truly impacted the players as much as people say?
Well, we were allowed to go down onto the field Thursday, like during the Eagles walkthrough practice, and you really couldn't tell. I mean, I didn't see anybody slipping or falling or anything like that. And Saquon Barkley kind of made a good point about it too after the game. It's like when you're going through warm-ups, you're not going at full speed.
Mhm.
So, they just wore their regular cleats because he wasn't having a problem. And then
Mhm.
obviously his first carry, I mean, you guys all saw that. He
Mhm.
slipped and fell, lost 5 yards, and he's like, okay, yeah, we all have to change our cleats. And they did pretty early in the game, and it wasn't as much of a problem, especially for the offensive players. Like, I think the offensive players have an advantage because if you have the ball in your hand, you know where you're going, you can make a cut and everything like that. The defense kind of has to react to it. And I think that's kind of what you saw, like kind of the rest of the game. Like the people who were slipping mostly were defensive players because, they're trying to react, they lose their footing and stuff. But I think, after Barkley and a lot of the offensive players changed their cleats early in the game, I don't think it was as much of a problem for them. But yeah, the field was an issue, from that point of view. But I don't think it was as bad as the Super Bowl because the Super Bowl you couldn't really do anything about it. It was mostly like the painted areas like near midfield, so that's about a 20, 30 yard area that, you were just going to slip no matter what. So I think in this case, like, once the players adjusted, it wasn't as much of an issue.
Okay. Obviously, one of the big topics coming out of the game is Jalen Hurts and his performance. I know I watched the press conference on Monday with Nick Sirianni, and you did ask him. Well, first off, actually, I didn't realize we're getting the old school COVID style with the coach behind the screen and stuff like that for the press conference. And can you put in a request? I don't know if the media likes it, but as a fan that watches every press conference, I love that style of press conference because I can hear who's asking the question and I can hear the full context of the question and not just the answer. So for me, it's easier watch. But you did ask Nick Sirianni about Jalen Hurts and his mistakes. What were your thoughts on how Jalen Hurts played? And, were the mistakes just, a lot of fans want to say it's just more of last year happening. I'm kind of looking at it on the positive side that Jalen Hurts still had a very, very good game considering all the changes to the offense, the center, the field conditions, the environment. All in all, I'm tending to lean towards the positive side that they were just two little mistakes. What was your thoughts on how Nick Sirianni responded to you on that question, but also your opinion on how Jalen Hurts performed?
Yeah. So first, like going back to the press conference, like usually like this, it's usually the day after press conference, but because they were in Brazil, that they had it on Monday. And it's always been like by Zoom, like the day after conferences. So that's
I love the Zoom press conferences.
Yeah.
I would take I don't know if it's good for you guys that way, but for me, I would take everything like that. So
there's good and bad. I mean, like if you have a stream of questions and stuff that you want to ask, I mean, you can, in the regular setting, you can ask it and like people follow up right away and stuff like that. So sometimes you can follow up on a particular theme. Here it's like, you have to wait your turn, you get one question and then that's it. So there are pluses and minuses.
Mm-hmm.
But as for Hertz's performance, I kind of agree with you. I mean, when I asked him the question specifically of what he saw, or Sirianni, I'm talking about what he saw with Jalen's interceptions, he kind of like mentioned a lot of the good things he did, which he did. I mean, some of those touchdown passes were like beautiful, like the one to Barkley, the long pass to AJ Brown, and then became a 67-yard touchdown. I mean, those were great passes. But also the interceptions though were really, really bad. I mean, poor decision making. The first one he just threw into like triple coverage basically. The second one he's rolling to his right. Especially at that juncture in the game, it's early in the fourth quarter. They have a 5-point lead. The worst case scenario, you kick a field goal, you're up by 8 points with like 12, 13 minutes to go. But he was rolling to his right. He threw across his body. It turns out AJ Brown fell, but even still, it was a poorly advised pass. He shouldn't have thrown it. Just throw it away, kick the field goal, go up by 8, and you're fine. And there were also a couple other passes that should have been intercepted. One of them, AJ Brown became a defender and broke it up. And the play before he threw the interception, like he threw one to the sideline that should have been a pick six. So it could have been even worse than it was. So yeah, I mean, those are concerning things. I mean, we saw a lot of that last year. He was trying to play hero ball, trying to, force passes that weren't there. And it's a big concern, and it really doesn't have to be that way with all the talent they have on this team. I mean, hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley. If you're being pressured, throw the ball away. He was doing some of that earlier in the game. Like a couple times there was nothing there. He threw the ball out of bounds, avoided a sack, and he's got to do that. I mean, you don't have to force plays with this offense. And even despite all the mistakes, they still scored 34 points, which tells you how good this offense can be, especially against a Green Bay team that's supposed to be one of the contenders for the NFC Championship. So, I mean, I would think if I'm Nick Sirianni, I'm having a long talk with Jalen Hurts about, not forcing passes, throw the ball away, fall down, take a sack, whatever, punt the ball even, you're going to get another chance. So I hope that's the lesson that comes out of that, because, if he doesn't turn the ball over, the Eagles should be able to score pretty much 30 points on anybody. That the offense is that good.
One more quick question: if you had to take Jalen Hurts out of the conversation, the most encouraging thing you saw on Friday night, and the most discouraging thing you saw from the Eagles on Friday night.
I'd say the most encouraging thing is Saquon Barkley. That guy is
Oh,
tremendous.
easy. That's just a layup right there.
Yeah. But if you want a non-Saquon Barkley answer, I can say, I was also really encouraged with Quinyon Mitchell's play. For a rookie, he was thrown out there. A cornerback opposite of Darius Slay. He was tested right away with Jordan Love trying for that long touchdown pass to Christian Watson. He had perfect coverage, good leverage inside, and broke up the play. He's going to be really good. And I think, I was kind of expecting, like, before the game even started, that he would start on the outside. And then Isaiah Rodgers' injury kind of clinched that, because he was playing a lot of nickel in training camp, but that guy's going to be on the field every play. And he's going to be really good. I mean, it's just a matter of time. He's got the right mentality. He's got the right attitude. He talked a little trash with Christian Watson after that play. You could tell he belongs. So I would say that was probably the most encouraging thing. And the most discouraging thing, I would have to say, was Bryce Huff. I mean, the guy not only did he not have a sack, he didn't even have a pressure. He's the guy they signed to a big contract, basically as Hassan Reddick's replacement. Not that Reddick did anything, because he's still holding out, and that would have been the case had he stayed with the Eagles. So, he did have one more tackle than Hassan Reddick did, but he's got to play better than that. I mean, we all kind of knew going in that he wasn't great against the run, but that's one thing. But if you're not getting any pressures or any, on the quarterback, that's a problem. So I think, like, the edge rusher position for the Eagles could be an issue this year. I mean, they got to get pressure on the quarterback, or else, those secondary guys are going to be hung out to dry.
Yep. So going forward this week, obviously they get back to practice here shortly. Are you zoning in on what they're doing to get ready for Atlanta? Are you zoning in on the injury report? Because to me, I'm waiting for that first injury report. That's like, I'm not even worried about the practice itself. I'm just worried about seeing whether Isaiah Rodgers will be back out there, Devin White, availability and stuff like that. It seems like the team that went to Brazil came out rather, unscathed. Is that something that you're really zoning in on and focused in on here for the rest of this week?
Yeah, because they're playing on Monday night, that injury report isn't going to come out until Thursday. So, we probably won't know until then what, Isaiah Rodgers' status is, or Devin White's. The one thing about Devin White, as well as, as big a role as he was expected to play. I mean, Zach Bond, played incredibly Friday night. He had 15 tackles, 2 sacks. Nakobe Dean didn't have a great game, especially in pass coverage. I think the Packers kind of exploited that a little bit. So, I mean, they could obviously use Devin White. I'm not saying he would play the whole game, but, as a 3-man rotation for those 2 spots, I think that would be most effective for the Eagles, whether it's, White and Bond starting and Dean working in, or vice versa. But I think Zach Bond pretty much proved that he should be in there pretty regularly. I mean, he had a tremendous game. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what the injury report is, because I mean, I don't think they really trust Trotter yet to to play that kind of role. So I mean, they need Devin White. So we'll see Thursday what his status is. It seemed like it could be an injury that can maybe keep him out for another game, but I'm just speculating on that. I don't know. So we'll find out more later this week on that.
So I guess the first practice then will be Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's what I was expecting it to be. I wasn't sure with the whole Brazil thing if they're changing a typical practice week up on a Monday Night Football or not.
Yeah, they push everything back a day because of Monday Night Football. So their 3 main days will be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So, and the injury reports will come out each of those days.
I'm sure you're glad to be back stateside and just get to travel to a nice little city like Atlanta versus 9.5 hours down to Brazil. But Martin, thank you very much for your time this morning. I greatly appreciate it. Great coverage without your phone, without Twitter. Great coverage down in Brazil by all the reporters that went down there.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
Hold on. Why wasn't your wife tweeting for you? I mean, everybody else had their significant others tweeting for them. You didn't give your password out to anybody?
She's not on Twitter. She's kind of fed up with it and stuff. So I didn't blame her for that. And it was actually kind of a nice break, a little, from all the other riffraff that's on there and everything like that. I started using Threads a little bit. And my paper was actually like retweeting like articles and stuff like that. So if you follow Delaware Online on Twitter, you could have gotten some of that. But yeah, it was kind of a nice break, but I'm glad I'm back for sure.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time this morning. I greatly appreciate it. I promise I won't bother you anytime soon again, but
no, that's fine.
Keep going, man, and great work this weekend in Brazil.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, Martin. Again, Martin Frank, guys. M Frank NFL on Twitter. Great to have him on. And having these great guests on are always great because it's brought to you by our great sponsors like David R. Cherry, the Cherry Law Firm. If you need a workers' compensation lawyer, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or criminal law, call the best. Call David R. Cherry, the Cherry Law Firm, 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let him fight for you and get you what you deserve. He is the best in the business. Again, David R. Cherry. You can contact him at 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Yeah, I went with the under there. Went with the under today, mister. Hope you bet the under. 12 likes is not good enough, guys. You got the zoomed-in version on my face of trending in the AM this morning. So make sure you hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe, that follow, that retweet button, wherever you are watching. Some great insight from Martin Frank. We've been spending time a lot today talking about the defense, and we're going to get to my power rankings of the NFL after week 1, entering week 2 in a few minutes. But two things that I want to bring up that what Martin Frank spoke about with the defense, and I want to write something down he said about the offense. Just a note for another conversation. He mentioned Bryce Huff, and he mentioned Nakobe Dean. Bryce Huff did have 0 pressures on Friday night. Bryce Huff was bad on Friday night. And he mentioned, concerns about Nakobe Dean. I thought Nakobe Dean had a pretty solid game. But if you really think about it, in pass protection, he wasn't that great. When he was around the line of the scrimmage, trying to get into the backfield, trying to stop the run, he was. So do we need Devin White to come back? Is Devin White that big of a deal that we need him to come back so that you have more of a rotation? Or can Devin White re-earn a role? Or are they just going to continue to roll out Nakobe Dean to see? Because I thought he had an encouraging game, Nakobe Dean. But like Martin Frank said, there were some discouraging things, some things to worry about. So I'm curious on what they will do. And unfortunately, we won't have that injury report till Thursday, like Martin Frank said. So, we won't know what Monday's going to shape up to look like till Thursday afternoon, Friday, as these guys get back there. The question is, when will Fangio trust Trotter? Yeah, I don't know Fangio's philosophy on rookies. Obviously, Quinyon Mitchell's different. Quinyon Mitchell is an elite player, Nooms, like an uber elite player. So that's different. But you notice, like last year, Sean Desai, a Fangio disciple, eased in Nolan Smith. The year before that, Jonathan Gannon, another Fangio disciple, eased in Jordan Davis. The Fangio style is normally an ease-in style. But Nakobe Dean wasn't perfect. So is there a scenario where if Devin White can't go, that you see more of a rotation there? I'm not sure. Brian's way off topic, but I'm putting it, you all knows Phil and I are going 18 under. What are we? We're less than 4 weeks away from this, Brian. 4 weeks away, 18 under, without using a single mulligan. That's right. That is right. Damn straight. And Melissa's been practicing, Brian. We're going to be using her drive on every hole. Forget Nakobe Dean. Why are we forgetting Nakobe Dean? I still think there were some positives, but I want to know why forget Nakobe Dean. And I saw your comment about Jalen Hurts not being him. We're going to ignore that. But I do understand the hero ball comment from Martin Frank, there, our guest, and how Jalen Hurts have to learn he doesn't have to play hero ball. When you've got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, you can live another day. There's always another play. When you've got those guys, you need to stick with this close-up. You like this close-up camera better? Are we making jokes, or is this serious? Because I feel awkward here this close. I don't want you to see this much of my face. But we might have to. I don't know. I don't know if it's the camera's gone bad or the connector's gone bad. We're going to find out later today when I take it all apart and try to figure it out. I'm still mad that Nakobe Dean didn't get that pick six. That pick six dropped out. That was a 14-point swing, Mitchie Poo. 14-point swing. And that was not good. That was unfortunate, to say the least. All right. Give you a second. Can you hear me now? How about that? Maybe we'll go that way. Can you guys hear me now? That did not fit. Hold on a second. Trying to fix this on the fly. He's been a butcher of a bit here. On V10. No. Trying to figure out which setting I got to go to. Is this the setting? I don't know. Oh, you can hear me. Okay. If you can hear me, we'll go like this. I can't hear myself. That's the problem. I plugged into my sound just to the basic part of the computer here. Yeah, this is exactly what it is. I tried to unmute myself here just to hear myself, but I can't. So I don't know. I don't know if anything's working or not. I don't need to hear myself. I could care less. I want to make sure what I say, and I unmuted the show on another channel on my other computer, and I couldn't hear myself on there either. Trying to hear myself, repeat after did it. I could hear myself because I can hear myself talk. This is less than ideal, is what we'll say. Yeah, David Archeri's on the case. Hey, you know what? It is what it is. Let's get through the rest of our great sponsors here in case anything else goes wrong today. So ShuriTickets.com. They are the premier ticket place. If you need sports tickets, concert tickets, theater tickets, you name it, they got it. Great prices, no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Check them out, cherrytickets.com, and check this out. If you use promo code EOP10 at checkout, they'll save you an additional 10%. So why would you overpay with the rest? Save with the best, cherrytickets.com. And, of course, our great friends over at phillysportstrips.com. Make sure you check out their website. Make sure you go there and you sign up and mention EOP and Trending in the AM. I just got to delete the Brazil thing. It's just natural habit. But they got a great package down to Tampa to see the Eagles take on the Buccaneers September 29th. Obviously, a great trip to New York to see Saquon Barkley return home. And, of course, the bus trip to Baltimore December 1st. And the Eagles take over Dallas November 10th when we're going to march into Dallas, whoop some Cowboy ass, and take over business and win down there. Check them out, guys, phillysportstrips.com. When life hands you lemons, yeah, you pivot. You pivot. That's what I am. You are not the only one unimpressed by Jalen Hurts. We know you are not the only one. You are not alone in the situation. I get it. I know. I understand. But that being said, he wasn't that bad. He wasn't. One final great sponsor here that I got to mention, just in case anything else goes wrong, so I want to make sure we get through all this. Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park. Great food, great times, great everything. Make sure you check them out. Guys, they are the best. They are the premium. They've been doing this for a long time. So check them out, dolansbar.com. Go in there, tell PJ and the crew, EOP sent you. Guys, don't miss Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park right there. And, of course, 7-day-a-week of programming. I promise you, Philly Press Box Radio and Post Game Live and EOP Live won't have the camera and won't have the microphone issues that I have. So make sure you stay locked and loaded to EOP always, guys. Oh, this has been a fun show. This has been a blast. I don't even know where to go here. Let's go over my power rankings real quick. And then we might call it an early show because I still got to find time to fix whatever the hell is wrong with this damn thing. And I don't know how you do that. Again, you don't pay $50 million, but hold on. Let me get back to my notes. You pay $50 million, sure. But there's my notes on Jalen Hurts. So you wouldn't see the book so close if I was on my old camera view. There are 8 quarterbacks paid more money than him. 4 of them did not win their games. Okay, only 1 threw for more yards than him. All right, Trevor Lawrence had a worse game than him. Dak Prescott had a worse game than him. Joe Burrow had a worse game than him. Only Baker Mayfield competed with him in quarterback rating and most things. So this thing that he didn't play great, sure. But he was one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL in week 1. So maybe that's just a saying that a lot of quarterbacks are overrated then. The pass into 1-on-4 coverage to start the game is the concerning throw. I'm not as concerned about that one as I am about the throw across his body into the end zone. That, to me, was the tough one. You know, on that first interception, it was 3rd and long. He was falling backwards into the end zone, trying to make a play. It wasn't a good play. But in theory, I kind of know what he was doing. He just short-armed it a little bit. He throws it a little further down the field. Maybe a big mistake does not happen. It is what it is. Not a fan of it, but not making an excuse for it, but it is what it is. So let's get to power rankings here after week 1. Share screen. I can't believe I'm trying to do extra stuff here on the screen, considering how many things have gone wrong on this show so far. Factor in he has Pro Bowl and All-Pro talent around him. Absolutely. So does Dak Prescott. So does Joe Burrow. So do some of the other guys. Tyreek Hill had more yards, but didn't play that great. And he's got multiple all-pro wide receivers. A lot of these guys have all-pro players. All quarterbacks struggle across the league. A lot did. Absolutely, Anthony, 100%. All right. Turnovers in either red zone are killers. That has to stop, period. Absolutely. And you know what? I really do hope Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore get after him and really drive home this week in practice that he doesn't have to play hero ball. Hero ball is the killer for any quarterback. Yeah, Prescott's career stats. Sure. But how many playoff games has Dak Prescott won? How many Super Bowls has Dak Prescott played in? Just saying. Answer that question for me, and then we can have a conversation. but not before that. Just so you know. That's just my opinion on that. All right. Power rankings. Week 1. Here we go. I don't like that camera angle. I like that camera angle. There we go. All right, after week 1 of the NFL season, Chiefs still hold on to the number 1 spot. I had to drop the Ravens out of number 2. Bumped up the 49ers from 3 to 2. Bumped up the Eagles from 4 to 3. Lions at 4. Texans at 5. So 2 through 5 all got bumped up 1 slot. I jumped the Bills up in the top 6 there. I bumped up the Cowboys to 7. Buccaneers at 8. Saints at 9, just to give them credit for smoking the Panthers. And I bumped the Ravens down to 10. Couldn't knock them out of the top 10. Thought about keeping them a little bit higher than that because the Ravens did lose barely 1 score to the 2-time defending Super Bowl champion, the Chiefs. So it was a good competitive game. I think you could flip-flop any of the 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, teams on here in any order. You could put the Eagles at 5, Texans at 3, Lions at 3, Eagles at 4. You can flip-flop any of those teams there, and I think I'd be pretty okay with that. The Saints, I just want to give them credit. The Bucs, I said the Bucs are a good team before the season started. I really wanted to make sure people understand that Tampa Bay has been a pretty solid team for several years now. Dak is Mr. Regular Season. Absolutely. Teams win, not individuals. And the Eagles won. So the Eagles have more wins. Well, maybe not more wins in regular season. I don't know the exact stat, but Nick Sirianni is, by the way, Nick Sirianni has got the highest winning percentage in the NFL since he's taken over. Just throwing that out there as well. Saw somebody post that stat. I didn't write it down. I didn't think much of it, but kind of just throwing that out there. Not to forget that Nick Sirianni is the highest rated winning quarterback in the NFL or coach in the NFL right now. As you can tell, I'm still thrown off. All these changes. My mic's out of my way. I had to switch my headset. My camera's gone. Even the blue light on the camera's gone. I don't know what the hell's going on. Before long, this whole computer's just going to blow up in my face here. I don't know what is going on today. So I'm definitely massively thrown off today. But there are my power rankings as they stand right now. I'll put it up bigger for everybody to see one final time. This is where I got them. And after the first 2 or 3 weeks, and these power rankings will get a little bit more solidified. It's still a week-to-week thing, back and forth thing as we learn what these teams are. Overall, there's something to be said for losing the turnover battle and still winning the game. Yeah, I think there's something to that as well, Nooms. I think it's very interesting that they did win the turnover battle with how poorly and all the turnovers that they did have. So, yeah, I agree with you on that for sure. I like Dak, but his career stats would dwarf any quarterback who hasn't been in the league as long or longer. Exactly. He has played a lot more seasons. Look, I'm a Dak guy. I've said it before. I do. Don't know what is. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. I just don't know what it is. Winning despite losing the turnover battle. That's the short. So I moved pages here. That is the short-term memory of Jalen Hurts. He never lets one mistake domino effect into another. What's the old saying from The Replacements? When Coach McGinty asks, what are your fears? And Keanu Reeves' character, Sugar Shane Falco, says, quicksand. And he explains, when you start struggling, you start fighting, you start sinking. And the harder you fight and struggle, the quicker you sink. It's like that domino effect. Jalen Hurts doesn't have that. Jalen Hurts doesn't have the ability to not move on. Jalen Hurts knows how to move on. Maybe that's also a detriment because he should have learned by now not to play hero ball, but he keeps going back to it. But the reason why you can win when losing the turnover battle is because you move on. Still not enough, Mitchie Poo. Still not enough. Troubleshooting is a process of elimination. Test the equipment with a different computer. If it works and your computer's it's definitely not the computer. I'm just joking with the computer. I'm just mentally thrown off by it all. My best guess is the soundboard. It was a $40 Temu soundboard. Temu. And I've had it for over a year now. So my guess is this is starting to die. Not positive on it, but that could be most likely it. Or maybe some of the camera went and the mic went. I don't know. I have a backup soundboard that's an old soundboard. I can move to that. I could just go this style till I figure out what the problem is. I'm not worried about it at all. It just mentally threw me off today. Threw my momentum off today. Dak stats don't dwarf Purdy. What? Brock Purdy. Don't give me the Brock Purdy stuff. I'm a Brock Purdy guy too, but come on now. It's his computer. It needs to be turned off and turned on again. Yes, it's a reference. What's up, Chad? How you doing today? Hope you are well. We're kind of rambling on through this here as I've been thrown off. Now we're up to 5th, just like that. Chad gets here, and we jump 2 likes instantly. That's what I like to hear. This show ain't going to go on much longer because I need time to try to work on this equipment before I head off into work here as well. I got no idea what to do here. But that being said, what's that note there? I'm reading my notes from Nick Sirianni's press conference, and he's been very businesslike this year in the CEO role. We've heard less cliches. We've heard less pandering. We've heard less of the – we haven't seen him wear as many T-shirts, hyping up. T-shirt gate's kind of gone away. But then in the press conference, I wrote this down, and he said to – I don't even remember the question that it was asked to or who asked it or what the question was. He said, the only way you can go 2-0 in the NFL is you go 1-0 first. I was like, oh, there's the old Nick Sirianni that I'm used to. There's the Nick Sirianni that I'm used to having. What's up? Yeah. I thought last year's collapse would have shown you who Hurts is. But you think it's disloyal to be real. No, you are entitled to your opinion. Jalen Hurts wasn't the only one who collapsed last year, Jack. Putting last year's collapse solely on Jalen Hurts' shoulders means that you have a predetermined opinion that can't be swayed. My opinion can be swayed. And if I'm wrong on my opinion, I'll admit I'm wrong. But saying last year's collapse was on Jalen Hurts, that's a misunderstanding right there, because that's not the case. Yeah, the big picture is kind of important as well, Anthony. And the big picture is that I rather look at the positives. And here we go again. It's the 3rd show in a row this week where we devolve into this conversation of you either are blind to Jalen Hurts' hate or bad, or you're blind to his good. Why can't we see both sides? He made some mistakes. He left some plays on the field. He also made some amazing plays. Jack, how many quarterbacks in the NFL can put that pin-perfect throw to Saquon Barkley the way he did and have the confidence to be able to do that? Very few. And I think that there is just the first of many examples I can give you on the counter you. His collapse, not the team's collapse. Well, it all went hand in hand. Didn't the defense collapsing affect the offense? Doesn't the offense's collapse affect the defense? The coaching struggles, the miscommunications, everybody collapsed. Singling out Jalen Hurts' collapse and saying you should have learned something from that is unnecessary. It's blind to what the big problem was and what the big picture was last year. Everybody collapsed. Everybody performed well. And then if that's the case, that I should have learned who Jalen Hurts was last year and we should move on from him, and he's not him, then we should have moved on from everybody on the team. Everybody on the team. Everybody. Because everybody collapsed. Everybody wasn't them last year. YouTube University. Jack's not a hater, Anthony. He's just passionate in his opinion. And I just strongly, strongly disagree with his opinion. And that's it. Not saying he should be out, but you guys think he is a top 10 quarterback. You can't name me 10 quarterbacks that are better than him. You just can't. There are not 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now that I would take ahead of Jalen Hurts for 1 year or for the next 5 years. There's just not. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the case, Mitchell Pooh. No, I think Jack is just a passionate, long-term Eagles fan. And Jack, if he's as old as he claims to be, should know that it's not always greener on the other side of the grass. And that he should know that he's gone through a lot of bad quarterback play in his lifetime. And that Jalen Hurts is one of the top ones that he has seen in his lifetime. You're taking Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts? I'll tell you that. No, I am not taking Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts. Not a chance. Justin Herbert is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Massively. I don't know what his exact stats are off the top of my head, but I'm going to pull them up. All right? He had 38 combined touchdowns last year. 38 combined. I know 15 of them were rushing. Let's see here. Stats for him. He had 22 and 23 passing touchdowns. Okay. He also had all the rushing touchdowns, so let's not eliminate that. 3,800 yards last year, 3,700 yards the year before that passing. Upper mid 60% completion percentage. He's been the favorite or the second favorite to win the MVP the last 2 years throughout a majority of the season. They didn't fire me up. That wasn't a fired up moment. I didn't get much more fired. I'm going to be fired up when I smash my equipment later today. I disagree with Jack, but his option and issues he has, opinions are valid. But he still looks like Joe Jackson. I can't stand Herbert. No way I would take him. Yeah, it was just Joe just knows how to fire me up. I know he hates Herbert. I don't hate him. I don't hate anybody. Hate's a strong word. Find him extremely overrated. Now that's a different topic. The Eagles quarterback when I started was Christian Adolph Sonny Jurgensen. Way better than Jalen. Okay. Can he have a 69 completion percent? Oh my God. Don't ever change, Mitchie Poo. Don't ever change. Look, again, here we go. Devolving into another Jalen Hurts conversation that you either have to love him or you have to hate him. Why can't we see the good and bad in Jalen Hurts? Why does it have to be one way or the other? Why can't it be both? That's what I want to know. That's what I don't understand. Why can't it be both? And I just don't know the answer to that. I don't know why we can't say he made some great throws and he made a few poor decisions. Why can't we say both? Why can't we say that compared to what the rest of the NFL did in week one, that Jalen Hurts was one of the best? Why can't we say that? Why is it always the focus on the negative, the 2 or 3 negative plays? Maybe a few more than negative plays that could have been worse, but didn't fall that way. Look. It hurts, don't it? What hurts? Your childish humor or talking Jalen Hurts? Because both hurts on a regular basis. I almost want Jalen Hurts to be gone from the Eagles quarterback just so I don't have to argue about Jalen Hurts anymore. Because it's frustrating. It's exhausting. It's tiring. It really, truly is exhausting, this conversation. But it is what it is. This is what we've got. This is what we do. Anyway, guys, we're going to cut it off right there. We're going to wrap up about 10 minutes early. I need to use this 10 minutes to try to figure out my equipment. I got to try to figure out what the hell went on today. Before then, I head into work for the day. No Skip Bayless hot take. I don't got any hot takes. I don't got any hot takes today. Got nothing annoying me today other than my equipment. And that I need to spend time fixing. I was very pro Jalen at the start of 22, but we won a lot of games. Then people tried to elevate him way too high based on the team wins. And then maybe you're trying to lower him too far on team losses last year. So just the same way where we elevated him because of 22, you're de-elevating him because of 23 when it was a team effort. So it's not his fault or his reason we win, but it's his fault when we lose. Yeah, that would be ideal, Duck. That would be very, very ideal. All right, guys. With that being said, everybody have a great day. We'll be back here, same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow. Hopefully with a fixed computer system. If not, old school like this, just with these headphones. That's what we'll do. That's what we're going to do. Who knows? We'll see. His numbers scream game manager. I disagree, but, over under on games Barkley plays. Why are we even worried about Barkley's gameplay? Why? He's going to play enough. He'll be fine. Maybe you're a Giants fan and you're just hoping. Giants fans are awfully quiet now. You know, they're all talking trash. Then Saquon Barkley goes off. And they stink again. And they're awfully quiet now. Skip Payless hot take. Bryce Harper. Yeah, you saw that. Keep the close-up. I don't know. I don't like the close-up. I don't like my face being this close to a camera. Curse of Penn State running backs. Whatever. Yeah, with that being said, we're wrapping this up, guys. I got to call it a day today. Got to close it up. Got to figure all this stuff out. Got to figure out the microphone settings. I got to figure out a lot of stuff. Hate the Giants. Well, good. Yeah, the Giants. We can agree on that. Do they still have a team? I don't know. Guys, go Birds. Ring the bell. Until tomorrow, guys. Bubbles up to you.